Hello, citizens of YouTube. This is the Geeky Nerd here. And today we're going to be talking about a little modification you could do to your AK just to improve it, even though it's hard to improve upon perfection, right? Niet, rifle is fine. But before we get into it, I'd like to send a big thank you out to everyone who has liked, commented, and subscribed on the previous videos. I always appreciate you guys and always enjoy reading your comments and just getting your input on things. Also, if you're new to the channel here, welcome. I hope you enjoy this video, and if you enjoy the other content we have here, please consider liking, commenting, or subscribing. And with the PR out the way, let's get into it. So the modification is polishing your trigger, just to refine it and bring it to the best that it can possibly be. And this in particular is my Bulgarian Arsenal SLR 106F. I know, a 5.56 AK. It's blasphemy. It's the best of both worlds. I love AKs. Sorry, AR-15 guys, but if I have to pick one, it's going to be an AK. That's just me personally. But I figure this is like the perfect crossbreed between the two. So, yeah. So just want to talk about how to kind of get the trigger all polished up. Now, this is my bedside gun. This is the go-to-war rifle, I guess you would say. Love this thing. Have it pretty tricked out for a few different things. Like you see, it has a Fab Defense top cover here, which is great. You can still use your standard sights and yada, yada, yada. But this isn't a review about the rifle. This is a review about how to do the triggers. Now, there's nothing wrong with this trigger. It's perfectly fine as is. Before we get messing with the gun here, you can see here it is empty. Nothing in the chamber. So, with this trigger in particular, it is a two-stage, so, pull one, second goes off. Now, the thing that I don't like about all AKs, now, nothing wrong with this trigger, it works fine, but it can always be better. So, you can see here with the action that you can kind of sort of get it to hang up just a little bit. Again, this is more of an OCD thing, but on some AKs, when you pull back, you can feel when it gets to that back wall that it gets hung up right there. And I'll actually show you what causes that hang up. Now, this isn't that bad at all. Arsenal, they do a fantastic job, and it isn't as pronounced. Now, before you go to make any kind of modifications, less is always more. You can always remove more material, but you can't put material that you removed back on, unfortunately. So take it diligently. If you don't feel comfortable doing any of this, don't do it. Now, there's two phases to this. There is polishing and kind of honing out the hammer, and then there is actually messing with the bolt carrier. Some people will say don't mess with the bolt carrier, it'll cause some kind of malfunctions or wear out the rifle, yada yada yada. You don't have to. You can just do the trigger face. But on some AKs, like my the Zastava M72, which I did a previous video on. Go check that out if you want to see that RPK AK amalgamation. That one is, the trigger on that will never be perfect because of just the just how the parts are machined, and you don't want to remove too much material to where you start having a safety concern. And yeah, so take it easy, guys, with when you're doing this. So, as you can see here, we are going to need some parts. I know the AK is screaming in fear, and everyone is saying, oh, it's a Dremel. Actually, let me change out this wheel. So you're going to need a Dremel, of course. You're going to need a buffer wheel or a felt buff pad, which just helps with some of the polishing. This is Jeweler's Rouge. It's kind of a knockoff one, but it's basically a fine grit paste that you apply on this wheel here, and it gives it a good final sheen. Or I guess you would say middle sheen, so kind of the middle in between. Also, you're going to want one of these, which is a little 80 grit paddle sander, paddle wheel. I've noticed that with the stones, it can take off a bit too much, and with the standard grinder wheel, or the standard sander wheel, that it can wear out, and then you can get some kind of bare spots. So it's always good to have. This is, yes, you can't see it in here, but this is Cape Cod Jewelers Polishing Metal Cloth. Essentially, the steps that we're going to do this when it's all final is you're going to take this. This is going to take the majority of material out and some of the humps, which I'll show you. This is going to polish up some of the grooves and some of the imperfections that left behind, and then this is going to go to final mirror polish. Now, this is one of the most important steps because when you're doing this whole process, you're actually removing finish and some of the materials, which of course can lead to corrosion and all sorts of nastiness. So what this final polishing and this polishing actually does is it brings down the surface crevices where water or anything, rust can accumulate, and it smooths those out to make it less susceptible and less pitted to where rust can start to occur. Pair of gloves, you're going to need 2 pairs. You're going to need one for the final metal polishing, and then one for this rough polish here. You want to keep them too, because this is going to give it that final polish that you don't want any kind of grit on there. Little hammer might help with the trigger. A little pair of pliers. Flashlight always helps. Rubber band. And little punch. So let's get into it. First things here, I'm going to move the polishing stuff over to where it is not going to get any kind of debris on it. Keep these here, keep this here. Take the top cover off. And guys, I'll be doing a review on this. This is, like I said, the Fab Defense. And anything you see I'm doing, it's an AK. It's made to be worked. It's not, a safe queen. Well, this is my safe queen. But it's a usable safe queen. Spring out. Oh, you also want some lube. Slip 2000. Can't wait for that to be clipped. Okay. Take this out. You're going to take your bolt out. Here's your carrier. Put that to the side. Lift this up and out. Love AKs. Been using them for a good amount of time now. Now this is where it's going to get a bit tricky here. So one thing I've always found is you just take a pair of pliers. Well, actually first we're going to release the hammer. Do not let the hammer hit this little crossbar. I mean, it probably won't do it. It won't really do anything, but prolonged will cause some damage to that rivet and then to the hammer, which you don't want, but it's an AK. So we're going to take these. You're pulling these little braided steel springs off. Now, beware the dreaded snake bite of the AK. As you see there, it has the 2 little prongs. That's where the rubber band comes in. So you take a rubber band or like one of the little twisty ties, like the bread tie ones, and you can wrap it around there. I just prefer doing this. And what this is going to prevent is once you take this hammer out, what can happen, or what usually does happen, is you'll take it out, and then these springs will come down and hit you and give you the old AK snake bite. So if you guys want to fast forward, you can, but this is just me fumbling through the steps. So I usually take this rubber band, pull it up over the front. That way it kind of holds everything back. That way it doesn't flop around. And if it does decide it wants to spring, it's not going to hit me in the hand. So this does have a shepherd's hook, crook, whatever you want to call it. And you have to take that out. Now, one little trick I found is I will just take like a screwdriver or something like that, and I'll actually just press down on that. You can't really see it, but if you have the retaining plate, that's a lot easier. You just drive it out the back. But if you have the shepherd's crook, which I don't really see that many big problems with it, I'll just take my screwdriver, like I said, and I'll push down, and it's on spring tension. So you just push down, take that pin from the other side, get my little punch, just push it through. Got a little click, so it's working its way out. And it comes right out. It's a little bit hard to do, guys, because I got the viewfinder here, so. Oh, come on. Okay, so once I should be pushed down, we'll get the little love tap, 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 tap. Should come out. Here, guys, 1 second. I'm going to do a jump cut so I can actually see what I'm doing. Okie dokie. Sorry about that, guys. So, as I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted by the shepherd's crook, you can see why some people replace them. Again, I really don't mind them. It's all a matter of leverage. With enough leverage, you can move the world, right? So this one, on the Arsenals, it is a bit different. Forget to mention that. So on the standard ones, it basically loops around this front pin up here and then comes back and goes down this way. The Arsenal actually goes around this rear pin. And you can see here that's actually goes underneath. So it's actually holding underneath. So it's holding on this rear pin. and then it's being pushed up by this pushing on the receiver up on that pin. What I was trying to do is essentially push this down, but I couldn't push it down far enough to clear that gap. So on this one, just happened to take a screwdriver, put it on the very, very tip of that, and then drive it home. So don't lose that. Put that with a little parts bit. Now we're going to take the pin out. So you can see once you have that out, comes right out. And you see what I was saying. So actually it is resting underneath there like that as it's going around. So what I was trying to do is basically push this down out the way so I could roll that pin out, because there's a groove on there. But that's the short of that. So now, once that's removed, we're going to take a little rubber band, but still hold it, rotate it out. You can see there the springs are starting to come out. Take it, grab it, a nice firm grasp. And I will take the pliers, because these ends are sharp. You just take it, and I'll flip one down nice and easy. Take the other, flip it down nice and easy. Okay, just going to take this off. Go, hold that on the side. And now we have your hammer. So, hammer, the old bolt carrier. So here's the two parts that are actually interfacing. So if your AK is hanging up, this is actually what's occurring. You can see you have this face down here. This is nicely machined. Again, wouldn't expect it from Arsenal. Hammer is a bit different though. But you can see, if I get in the viewfinder, that what's actually occurring is it's basically holding right here. This part gets pushed down just a little bit, and then sometimes it'll get hung up right there, right on the edge. And it's actually hanging right there until you have enough force to overcome that and go across the top. So when it's actually fired, hits this, it gets pushed back. I know I'm not doing the best thing. It'll come back here, and then it'll get stuck right there, just like that. And what you're essentially trying to do is you're trying to even out the geometry of the metals so that they have a more of a rolling surface, kind of like a roll ball bearing sort of deal, as opposed to just a hard edges. So the one that I would say is definitely okay to change, because should you mess up, should you take too much, it's just a hammer, is the hammer. What we're going to actually do here is, you see the geometry, it does have some hard curves, but they're definitely not too crazy, but you can feel and you can actually see how it comes up at a sharp angle. Essentially what we're going to do is we're going to roll over those edges and make it so it's more of a seamless transition instead of a go, go, go. We're also going to smooth out this little surface down here. This is going to also improve the trigger beyond that sliding mechanism. And you can see here on some AKs, they're going to either have one or two legs. This one just happens to have one, so we're going to take off a little bit of material here, nothing too crazy. You can feel a little slight lip in there, and then we're going to kind of roll that edge a bit. That's just my preference. It makes a very quick single action and just allows you to get a lot of rapid fire off. Also makes it pretty much a hair trigger. You can just do the face if you want to just keep the action, but if you actually want to do the trigger, might as well do it while you're here. We're also going to take and we're going to smooth out some of the underside of here, roll this, and just get that polish going. You can see there, like I said, we are going to remove material, but no more material than what's already been removed by the action. That's the recommended one. If you're a little bit more adventurous, which I'm going to just do a polish, I'm not going to do any kind of grind or anything like that, is on this bolt face. Bolt carrier. You can see though, it doesn't really have any hard edges. They are very, very smooth. And essentially that's what we're going to do. We're going to make this look like that as far as edges go. So I'm just going to do just a surface polish on this, just get it a little bit nicer, but Arsenal, you don't got to worry about that. But if you do, you're going to take this down and you do the same procedure. So let's get into it. So I'm going to take the AK and we're going to move it away. That way we don't get any kind of, or not as much dirt or so in the action, because like I said, you are removing material. So just going to move this over here. Just a little bit. There we go. Bolt face, bolt carrier. Because you obviously don't want to be doing it right over the AK. have little metal shavings go. Put on the gloves. And let's move that little terry cloth away. Move that. Okay, so we're gonna take this wheel and we're just gonna start grinding. You start off at high, start off at low, what have you, but start off as high as it go. Get my dang gloves. I don't want the glove getting caught in the way. One thing, guys, I do want to add is make sure you don't just hold in the place and start grinding down, because then you'll create a flat spot. You want to grind down a little bit and then keep a rolling action. That way you bring it down a little bit and then you kind of bring it with the rest of the piece. So also wear eye protection. Of course, Dremel died. So I'll get another battery here. It'll be a jump cut, but you can see there that we're definitely smoothing out some of the geometry of the hammer. You don't want to take too much off this bolt face. You want to mainly take around those corners and kind of, like I said, you're making a smooth hill instead of a jaggy road. So hold on for the jump cut. Be right back. Okie dokie, we're back. So let's get to it. Fresh batteries help. Also, guys, I just want to say, when you're doing this as well, you want to do a little bit of heavy pressure, but then you kind of want to finish it with a lighter pressure, just to even things out. Also, you're probably saying you should use a bench or, bench vise for this. And while that it definitely is the best, if you can do that, grip this in the vise and then do it. Not everyone has one of those. I have the tipped in here, so kind of working with what the everyman has. But if you have more tools at your availability, then do it. So you can see there we're getting pretty close. So just got a little bit more right there. I can say that back is pretty much done, at least to where I'd feel safe or, happy with it. Of course, I got studio lights going out, Dremel's going out. So guys, pretty much that's all we're going to do. So hold on for the jump cut. So guys, back here. Sorry about the jump cut. So you can see what we did. You can see the geometry as opposed to being da-da-da-da-da. This is a lot more rounded, and you actually feel it. I mean, if you don't feel like a hump or anything like that with your finger, then you're good to go. So I'm not feeling anything. One thing as well, if it would focus, you son of a gun, this little lip down here between this, let's find something. Got a freaking screwdriver here somewhere. There it is. When you're going between this area right down here and then this area, you want to make sure that that doesn't have a hump as well, that there's nothing pronounced, because that's one area I've noticed. We also took just a little bit here. Now guys, remember, you're not grinding, you're kind of just taking you are grinding, you're just taking a little tiny bit off, but you're not wearing down the material. You're just kind of taking the surface imperfections out and getting a better geometry. On the face here, you see I just flatten that out, smooth out that area a little bit, smooth out that area a little bit. This is one of the FIM group triggers from Arsenal. So if you guys want to go 2-stage, that's the 2-stage to the Tapco G2 to the Tapco G2 is the 1-stage, for AKs. So here we're going to take the polishing wheel now, turn it down a little bit, get some Jeweler's Rouge, preload it. Reload it. See there, got a little bit. Then we're going to crank this sucker up just a little bit. You're going to apply it. Get that general surface coat going. Work it in everywhere that you were. And then we're going to crank it up, because the thing with Dremels is the speed is actually what's doing the work, not, brute force. So. Once this kind of starts, turning less green, then you want to preload it again. I'm pretty much just going to keep doing the same procedure over and over again until you get it almost a mirror finish. So, and then it evens it out even more. Also with this, you can see here that there is a flat spot. You want to make sure you keep that flat spot dead in center and don't make it too rolled, because that's actually where the bolt face has to contact with the firing pin. So you do that procedure, guys, and hold on for the jump cut. Don't get sick. Okie dokie, guys. So we're pretty much done. So you see there, I really barely even touched the bolt or the bolt carrier. I pretty much just took the tiniest whiff of imperfection out, but I didn't use the grinder. I only used this. But here's the pretty much after those two phases, here's that hammer. You can see there we almost have like a mirror finish going on. Got a lot of it gone. You see it's more rounded now, a bit more smooth, I guess you'd say, on these little surfaces here where the trigger goes. So now the final stage, I'm going to take off the gloves. Ugh. If you guys are sticking around this long, thank you much. Appreciate it. Of course, you can always fast forward through it. There's one fantastic guy. He was like, I shouldn't control the speed. If they have the fast forward button, they can use it. Clean off your mat here. Okay. Now, you're going to take your Cape Cod polishing cloth. Take your separate set of gloves. I also took a paper towel to these just to wipe them off before we're going to this phase. Now, just think to yourself, you are sitting wherever you're at, probably late at night, watching another guy polish the trigger, and more importantly, watching him put on gloves. No, I'm just joking. Okay. So we'll take your Cape Cod polishing cloth. Fantastic stuff, guys, for especially things like this. And we'll just do the bulk carrier first. So you're just going to take it. It is impregnated with microabrasion, so just give it good cleaning. Oh, God. I feel like this is going to be clipped because based on YouTube analytics, nothing but guys watch my videos. Not there's anything wrong with that. But you can see there, it's getting little bits and pieces off. Of course, that's getting a bit of the finish as well, but it's okay. Remember, we're doing this to increase the slickness of it, but also to bring down the possibility of getting any kind of corrosion. This is pretty much good before we even really touched it. Let's see if I got a cleaner piece of cloth in here to demonstrate. I do. Is that the old piece? Yeah, it's the old piece. Oh. So we're just going to fold this around a little bit. Yeah, here's the beauty shot. Take this, and you're pretty much just going to rub this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's going to give it a mirror-like sheen. Yeah, it's a little bit easier when you hold it close to your chest. So while I am polishing my hammer, no pun intended, let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Have you done this before, or what other kind of videos that you like to see? If you guys like this kind of stuff, you know, amateur gunsmithing, kitchen gunsmithing. Although I'm not taking a Phillips or a frickin' drywall screw to screw in my my anchor for my sling on my vintage Car 98K. Not that bad. But yeah, let me know what you guys think, if you guys like this kind of content or not, or what have you. And you can see there, we're getting pretty mirror-like, even more than what we are before, and getting more of a slickness. So just keep on doing that and hold on for the jump. Okay, citizens of YouTube, so once you're done doing that, you're going to take a good terry cloth. You make sure you get all that off. All it is mineral spirits, you know, that keeps that, but you want to get every little tiny imperfection that was in there off. Hold for the big reveal. Clean this off. Also, just make sure all your parts are nice and clean from where you were grinding or doing anything like that, because if there's any kind of micro abrasions, it's going to make you have a bad time, although it's an AK, so it's going to be fine. So, get this nice polished up, and for the big reveal, voila! So, you can see there, it is has a flat face, and more importantly, like I said, the geometry is mainly what you're doing. You're really smoothing that out, and this is as slick as a baby's bottom. You can see we got a nice little mirror finish going on. Here, let me try to see if I can turn the studio light off. Maybe get a bit of a capture there. See there, we polished up everything. So, it's looking nice. More importantly, it's going to function nicer because this is as slick as a baby's bottom. Move all this out. And bring the old girl back. And now for the reassembly part. And then the final test. So how do I do this? No, I'm just joking. First thing you're going to do, take your spring and just figure out which side you want to use. You're going to put it in the spring hole, capture it in, rotate it around. There you go. Actually, just did it wrong too. You guys got me nervous here. You want to make sure that when you do it, that the little ears are facing down. So, and then the hammer goes this way, so this end faces that way. There we go. And now you're going to rotate it around this way. So dog ear is going to be facing down. You're going to take your little pair of pliers. Be careful here because this is where you get bit. Take the top of it, bring it around, hold it nice in place right there. Take this end, rotate it around, cross them, keep them nice and tight. Take your rubber band or your twisty tie, whatever you prefer, and lock them down. Again, I have got bitten like this, and I hate it. So I'm going to take that, Make sure springs are nice and pushed in there, wrapped around. You're going to take it in sideways like this, drop it down, and twist it. Now, some of these actions are going to be a bit wonky, so. And every AK is a little bit different, but this one just rotates in. You see there? Take a rubber band, pull it around. It's going to give you a little bit of tension. Keep everything nice and going that way. You're going to take your pin, run it in, line it up. Oh, this is going to be difficult. Not difficult for any other reason than, you usually have this close to your face. So, I'll push it in. It's just nice and firm. Where is... Just give it a little tap, tap. Make sure it's nice and fully seated. Take that shepherd's crook. On this side, we're going to face it down. It's going to go under, over this. Okay. Screwdriver. Push down. Come on. Again, guys, it's an AK. You really can't hurt it. Come on. Try and get it down. Come on. Can I do this on camera? Being able to say. Okay, so hold on. Woo! Holy crap on a crustacean covered cracker. Shepherd's crook, you're making me out to not like you. I was talking so highly of you. Anyway, once you get that pin in, get the shepherd's crook, you just take your little spring here and reverse order. Make sure it sits on that rear leg there. Keep your hand out the way. And you can see there, it's hanging on the edge of the trigger. Make sure it works. Spring returns. Cool. Lock back. I'm gonna lock it back. Cool. Didn't just go fiery on me. So, once you have that, take this, take your bolt. Actually, I'm jumping ahead of myself. The damn shepherd's thing got me all messed up. Put this back. And then take this, give it a little dabby dab dab. Dab of oil. I already did it when it was outside, but a little more don't hurt. Get a little dab of oil on this sucker right here. Cool. Put a little bit in the channel. Mark it in. Cool. Like this. Rotate that back down. Okay. Take your spring. Put it back. And let's give it a go. Well, I'll tell you what, guys. If that wasn't smooth before, whew. I mean, you can see there, like, trying to cause it to hang. It just won't do it. So, nice and smooth. And it's really hard to explain, without feeling it, but you see there, when it was going to catch, right there, that it just now won't catch to where once you let it go. Now buttery smooth, and feel the trigger. Got a nice 2-stage. Nice clean break. Beautiful. So, yeah, so guys, that's kind of a just a quick general overview on. That's definitely not quick, but just an overview on how to get your AK trigger polished up and working working a bit better to your liking. Again, don't do this if you don't feel comfortable doing it, but thank you for sticking around for this long video. I know it was kind of a long one, but it's definitely a tedious operation. And yeah, hope everyone is having a wonderful, awesome, fantastic day. Catch you guys next time. See you guys.